Welcome everyone to the Planet MicroCap Showcase Vancouver 2024 in association with Small Cap Discoveries. I'm your host, Robert Kraft, and joining me for this virtual keynote presentation is member of the executive committee, as well as SEC auditor, friend of the show for a long time. We've done many of these over the years. I'm excited to welcome him here to do just a Q&A one-on-one. We got Neil Levine from Marcum LLP. Neil, how you feeling, man?
Hey, Bobby, good to be with you again. Maybe, I don't know, is it 10 years?
It's been 10 years. Yeah, it's been 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things to do. Come to your conference. We get a lot of business from the conference. We talk to a lot of people at the conference, and I will go on record today. It is my favorite conference. So whoever is watching this,
Let's go. Let's go. I love it. Thank you, Neil. You know how much we appreciate you guys and the whole team over at Marcum for your support over the years. So, one, we're excited to have you back and excited to hear some insights. Look, every 6 months or so, we do one of these because we want to just get the latest and greatest as to what's going on from an accounting perspective as it pertains to small microcap markets. This one in particular, we're also going to be covering a little bit having to do with Canadian regulations as well, because hey, it's a Vancouver event. We might be virtual, but we gotta appease our brethren to the north. So, but I want to start out, Neil. First question I have for you: Can you explain an accounting firm's ability to provide either accounting services or audit services, and why they can't do both?
oh,
Let's start. We're starting there. I kind of threw you a curveball, but we're going to start there, and then we'll come to the other stuff.
great question.
Okay.
There's differences between public filers and private filers. If you are a private filer, the accountant like me, I can draft your financials. I can give you journal entries. I can really assist you as long as I feel the accounting team is competent. When you're talking about public filers, when you're talking about the SEC, when you're talking about the PCAOB, which is the Public Company Accounting and Oversight Board, there are very, very strict rules regarding independence. I am not allowed to draft your financials. I am not allowed to say, audit my own work. Totally, we have to be independent. So what we find, what we do, I can do one or the other. I would prefer to be an auditor because that's our strong point. But, if somebody came to me and said, hey, Levine, we're using the Big Four. Can you guys do our internals? I would say we could. We're not the best at it, but we could. But I will tell you what we do. We have a host of, say, 5 companies, 6 companies, 7 companies that we would refer to you to do the internal work, to draft your financial statements, to write your memos that, may be, heavy duty GAAP. But the accountants can get in very big trouble if they step over the line of not being independent, either independent in appearance or independent for the work that we do. And there is a difference. I could hang out with you and they could say, hey, Levine, you're friends with Bobby Kraft. You can't do his audit. That would be an appearance. But that's a great question because the SEC and PCAOB have really come down. It could be the simplest thing. If we're doing an audit, we can't do bookkeeping. We can't do officers' tax returns. If we do a tax return, we have to get special permission from the board. So there are a lot of, I'll call them Chinese walls that they put up, and we have to stick to them.
Absolutely. So my next question then for you here, and I think this is also very appropriate, for this being a Vancouver Canadian event. How does your professional customer service approach help C-level management teams get prepared then for that US listing?
Great question. People come to us and they may say, Levine, we want to go public. And we'll say to them, we'll do our little due diligence. You have a set of books. Do you have auditors? Do you have the inside ability to write your own financial statements? Who's your banker? I mean, the Canadian companies, we're in Vancouver, they really come to the US markets for one reason: liquidity. The US markets are so much larger than the Toronto exchange or some of the other exchanges there that, um, so I like to be one-stop shopping, and we don't charge for that, Bobby. It's like, hey, what can I do for you? I can give you 5 SEC lawyers. You want the biggest of the big? You want middle of the road? So I like to say what we offer as far as customer service is the referrals that we can give to a company to put them on the right track. So let's talk more about customer service. We had a $300 million IPO that we did, and we found that we were against a major time. So what did we do? We knew the company couldn't get over the goal line by themselves. We met with them on Zoom every day for about 7 weeks at 5 p.m. This is customer service. Bob, let's go over, your open items list. And that's what we really offer here at Marcum. As the managing partner of this small office, I would say with 100 people, we have 60 professionals that are really just dedicated to the public markets. So if we're fortunate enough for you to come to us, we'll guarantee you that, we're all in. We've got a great reputation to keep up, and we will get the people over the goal.
Very cool. All right. So next question then, what would you say are some of the steps that a Canadian public issuer needs to focus on when entry onto a US exchange?
Okay, so I'm assuming we're talking about the two biggest exchanges, New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ. There are a lot of rules to get on the exchange. Some might be you got to trade at $4 a share. Some might be you need, board of governances. So, the first thing, if you came to me and you were in Canada and you said, hey, Neil, we want some more exposure. We're on a TSX. We'd like to move up to the exchange. We would look at your financials. You'd have to have the 2 years audited by a PCAOB auditor. You could be on a smaller exchange in Canada and have just a regular accountant who doesn't have that PCAOB designation. I think there's about, I could be right, I could be wrong, about 3,000 firms now. So in the United States, there's like 44,000 CPA firms. There's 3,000 firms that can do this PCAOB work. You need to have 2 years audited by the PCAOB firm to get on one of these exchanges. You might be on the smaller Canadian exchange where they may not need audited financials. So, but once you do get on these exchanges, there's cash flow requirements, there's trading bid requirements, there's keeping your stock price at a certain amount. And that's really where some of the SEC lawyers we have, because not every company comes out at $4 and stays there. So there's a lot to do to be prepared. Another thing we could help, having a great board. We work for the board of directors. I'll say in the old days, somebody might come to you and say, hey, we want to go public. And you were dealing with the president or CEO of that company. But Bobby, we don't work for the president or the CEOs anymore, or the CFOs. We really work for the board of directors. We are the gatekeeper of the accounting functions and really what goes right and wasn't and what doesn't go right. So you can look at, unfortunately, enforcement actions daily. So one thing we would have the Canadian company or any company do is say, hey, listen, you need a solid, independent board of directors. You need an expert that can run your audit chair and run your audit report. Because when we finish with the audit, it's addressed to the audit chair. Our findings go to the audit chair. Although, somebody may develop a company and be the CEO and make millions of dollars, and it was their company, and we listen to them, we question them, we audit them, but we really report to the board of directors.
Absolutely. So another question I have for you is, with the focus on cross-border transactions, listings, and capital formation, how does your Marcum team assist Canadian issuers?
Well, there's got to be a reason why the Canadian companies would want to come here. So, as you know, in Canada, cannabis, banking, energy, healthcare, those are the major industries. And, the TSX is so much smaller, the Toronto Exchange, where most of your bigger companies are on. People come here for liquidity. So, introductions, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, smaller dealer firms, Marcum, Roth Capital. We are happy to use our people we do business with, refer people. We get nothing from it. We hope you guys can raise money when they come here. But one of the major things we can do, being so close to New York City, being so close to Wall Street, knowing everybody on Wall Street. I mean, Marcum is accepted by, I would say, I can't think of anyone who wouldn't accept Marcum financially. The big four have more registrants than we do. Although we're currently the 13th largest accounting firm, we are number 5. That's number 5 in the world when it comes to handling the registrants. So when people come to us, we open up a lot of doors. Who are you going to use for your insurance, D&O? Who are you going to use for, malpractice? What lawyers do you want to use? Do you have everything with the Department of Labor issues? So people come to me to do the audit, but a lot of times they say, Neil, who else can you refer that we can work with that would make you proud? And we have a list of companies. And that's when people, listen, I've been around doing public work since 1999. There aren't many guys still in the business at 62 years old who really know everybody. I go to your conference, I feel like I'm the mayor. I go to conferences, you're like, oh, there's Neil Levine. I'm just saying, been around a long time. And we're just happy to help people and keep growing our business. So the way we grow business is to keep happy customers.
Absolutely. All right, final question for you here, and some great stuff so far. But to close this out, what would you say are the different financial reporting nuances for Canadian reporting public companies when listing in the U.S.? Can you list a few of those?
Yeah, well, sure. If you may have a Canadian company that may be coming here and they would like to be a foreign filer, depending on where they fall in that bucket, some of the nuances may be, hey, you file every 6 months, do the audit. If they want to file with GAAP and be a regular reporting filer, they have to know, timing when the filings are due. And that's probably a real big issue. Another big issue is, Bobby, sometimes in foreign countries, they may have auditors there already that do stat audits or different type of audits. And unfortunately, one of the nuances is we can no longer really rely. So we can get their work papers, uh, but we really have to do our own audit, because we also found that if you rely too much on another firm's work, then that has to go in the opinion. It's frowned upon with the SEC. So I'm happy to report that at least at Marcum, we've got about 4 or 5 international bodies that we have vetted. That, let's say we're doing an inventory and you hire Neil Levine out of New Jersey. I have affiliated firms in Canada, call them up in Montreal or Ontario or Quebec, wherever it is. They can go out, I can save you some money, and they can do the inventory. And that's like they're still working for me. So yeah, as far as financial reporting, timing, what kind of filer are you going to be? If you're a real large filer, you might be an accelerated filer. So instead of filing your Qs in 90 days or 45 days and maybe 40 days, instead of the year end for 90 days, it could be shorter than that. So that's what we really find. We find like a company may say, Neil, we've got audits for that. We can't always use them. We can use them as a guide, but yeah, we still have to do our own.
Very good. All right. Well, Neil, you answered all my questions. I think we covered a lot of great information here today. Where can folks go to find, get in contact with you, find more information about you, Marcum LLP, all your services?
Great. So Neil.Levine at marcumllp.com. That's the best way. We've got a great website. You know, beside the audit services and international audit services and tax and international tax, you know, someone could hire us to do evaluation. Some people could hire us to do memos, get a second opinion. There's a bunch of things we do. We're full service. We're 4,000 people, 46 offices, and we're happy to help any way we can.
Thank you, man. We really appreciate it. And
thanks
look
for
forward to the
everything.
next update. Thank you.
We'll see you. Bye bye.